evening, beautiful people. As always, this is Ra'ama Hetapa Man, and today we're going to continue on in our conversation of New Age worship of the intelligence of Source. Today we're going to focus on overcoming life challenges. You know, let's start out by being honest. Most of us are going through some type of situation. You know, you could be going through a health crisis, a relationship crisis, career crisis, you know, financial crisis. You can go through many things in your life and see these things as some type of challenge to your life existence. But what we typically do when we're in the process of going through some type of challenge or some type of crisis is we start to question the situation itself. So we'll ask ourselves, why is this happening? Why is this situation happening to me? So for instance, you go to the doctor and the doctor says, hey, you're pre-diabetic. Your first thought is, I can't believe this is happening to me. These circumstances of poor vitality and things of that nature, you start to really get into thinking about, not believing these things are actually happening to you. And what that does is it puts you into a state of stress. You obsess about it. You continuously try to find an answer. And you'll never find an answer for why you're going through that situation. You'll simply find yourself making yourself more stressful, falling victim to the negative thoughts. While your health still has not been resolved, your finances have still not been resolved, your relationship issues have not been resolved, your career issues have not been resolved, but you are still questioning. You're looking for something to come out of the sky and simply tell you why you're going through this situation. You don't see it as a mechanism that is necessary for you to go through in order for you to increase and transfigure yourself into higher states. You're simply asking, why is this happening to me? I can't believe this happened to me. And this is what puts us in a position by which we sink into a deeper state of misunderstanding. We go deeper into almost a depression because we still cannot figure out why these negative things. You start making statements like, oh, I'm unlucky, and so on and so on. And therefore just continuously dig a hole for yourself because you're not really grasping why these things are happening to you. So let's look at a truth that we've talked about many times, right? According to our Maā, it states that you endure challenge to transfigure yourself into higher states of self-awareness. It says that Ma'at came into manifestation to provide Nebecher, Source, with the knowledge and experience of what it is through the vehicle of man and woman. So therefore, all of your life situations that you are enduring right now are simply there to bring about the awareness, a different form of awareness, a higher form of self-awareness, which provides Source with the experience and knowledge of what it is. From the awareness, from this self-awareness of what it is, from this awareness, we said that Ma'at and Ma'at came into manifestation, right? We said that awareness existed prior to the manifestation of any and all things. This awareness that it is. The second awareness came into manifestation when it came to the awareness that it was absent of the experience of what it is, even though it knows it is. That second awareness is what brought Ma'at into manifestation. And so Ma'a came into manifestation as the objective of bringing Source into the knowledge and experience of what it is. That is now Ma'a. And that objective is what all things come into manifestation to resolve. We call that Ma'at. So the collaboration of all things in your life to resolve the one thing is called Ma'a. So in your life and as many situations and as many circumstances, your life diversity, your life is functioning within intelligence, and that intelligence is what's bringing you into these quote unquote situations of difficulty to spawn your transfiguration to higher states of self. So everything that you endure must serve to further this objective. We mentioned last week this concept called Ari Grace, Ari Ma'a, which basically stands for grace, and it loosely translates into the system of Ma'at favors you, but not just you, not just because you're simply taking air, but it favors you because you are providing source with the knowledge and experience of what it is through your life situations. So what is favored is your transfiguration into higher states of self-awareness. That is what's favored. Therefore, we can imply that the challenges that you're going through is bringing you into favor. Now, let's download that for a second. The challenges, the crises that you are going through right now is giving you the opportunity to enjoy your favor. It's bringing you into favor. That's something we really need to focus on and understand, because that's essentially how Ari Maā works. If we say that Maā, the objective from which all things manifest, right? All things serve to further the fulfillment of the one objective. We say that objective is to provide source with the knowledge and experience of what it is. Then our grace has to be about the transfiguration into higher states of self-awareness, supportive of that. Then therefore challenges that bring us into higher states of awareness has to also provide us with opportunities for favor. So that's something you want to definitely keep in mind, because that's what our grace means. It means that you're favored through your increase in self-awareness. You are favored. Your challenges that are coming to you are providing you with the opportunity to be favored. Since we have people that are enduring some tough challenges here, in our community, I said to myself, let's make this a double today, right? So we're going to talk about 2 Thesuit. All right. We're going to talk about Thesuit 2 first. And then we'll get into the one that we've been talking about for the last 2 or 3 weeks, right? Thesuit 5. But let's look at Thesuit 2. And mind you, we said that there are only 7 Thesuit. All right. And these 7 Thesuit were considered to be magical. They had magical cyclical properties, as once you inoculated them into your spirit, they create miracles, so to speak. These 7 Thesuit were also considered the backbone of, quote unquote, Oser de un Nefer. So let's look at Thesuit 2 here. It says, I am Ra, the omnibenevolent source of all things. Everything comes from the source. And if the source by nature is omnibenevolent, and in my book, I give great detail, go through great detail about explaining this. But if source in and of itself is omnibenevolent, then that means anything that's a manifestation of the source has to be omnibenevolent by nature. So it says, I am Ra, the omnibenevolent source of all things. Everything in your life, all the things that you can possibly experience, has to be an expression of benevolence. So therefore, malevolence in any regard has to be the result of choice, of unintelligent choice manifesting in the system of intelligence. It says, Ma'at manifested for my benefit. Well, just think about that for a second. We call these savior statements as well, right? So if source is saying that everything manifested for my benefit, then we went through the whole concept about what could be a benefit to source, right? The only thing that can be a benefit to source is what? Your transfiguration into higher states of self-awareness, because you are source manifesting through the limitations of the mind. So when it says here, Ma'at manifested for my benefit, what it's saying is that Ma'at manifested to bring about that experience. It goes on to say, it says, I am the absolute benevolent light that serves you in your life experience. I am the absolute benevolent light that serves you in your life experience. Let's embellish real quick. Let's say, for the sake of argument, we agree with Occidental religions that say that God is up in the sky. Let's say this God came down, and we know this is impossible, but bear with me. But let's say this God came down and stood right in front of you and said that I favor you. I am the absolute benevolent light that serves you in your life experience. How would that make you feel? It's God say, I'm serving you. I am the absolute benevolent light that serves you in your life experience. That would bring you into a state of contentment. That would bring you into a state of hetep. That would bring you into a state of feeling blessed and benevolent and all these different things. Now, let's go back to the reality of Ari Maā. Of course, we said that you cannot separate man and woman from, you cannot say that man and woman are over here and source is over here, right? So that's something that is not something that we accept. But we do exist within a system that is rigged to favor us as the highest expression of the one thing. So we are highly favored and highly blessed within this intelligent design because it's rigged to serve and support us. Last part of the Thesuit 2. It says, your confidence in me is the assurance that all things, situations, and beings are resolved in favor of your benefit. Your confidence in me is the assurance that all things, situations, and beings are resolved in favor of your benefit. Talking about confidence here. When you're going through a crisis in life, first thing it does is attacks your confidence. You have to have confidence in the truth. The truth is that all things, situations, and beings that you could possibly endure manifest for your benefit. That is the truth. When you are going through crisis and you're questioning yourself, you are attacking your confidence. And you cannot heal yourself without confidence. You can't increase your money without confidence. You cannot bring relationships into your life without confidence. See, it is confidence in the truth that you must hold dearly as you're going through a crisis. So we're sitting there saying, why is my husband speaking to me this way? Why is my boss doing this? Why don't I have a job? When you're doing these things, you have to be very careful. Because you have to not only understand the truth, you have to maintain your confidence in the truth. This confidence based on your understanding, based on your comprehension, based on the only truth, the only reality. That all things, situations, and beings that you will endure are resolved in your favor. That is the truth. So instead of pointing the finger, instead of blaming somebody, look at what the situation is attempting to bring out of you. You see, this is what people don't understand. After you've been fired by 4 bosses, you start to look internally. Once you transfigure yourself, your bosses get nicer. Once you transfigure yourself, your partner, your husband or spouse becomes nicer. Once you transfigure yourself, you're able to hold on to more money. See, once you transfigure yourself, your relationships are better. But see, when you're questioning why you're enduring this situation, you're not looking yourself in the mirror now. You're trying to figure out what could possibly be outside of you that's causing you to endure this situation. So when it says your confidence in me is the assurance that all things, situations, and beings are resolved in favor of your benefit. That is the truth. And you must maintain that truth if you are wanting to heal yourself, if you want to get into a better relationship, if you want to get into that career, if you want to make changes in your relationship. You have to understand and comprehend that truth, that all things, situations, and beings that you experience in life has to be resolved for your benefit. That is the truth. There's no other way around that. All right, so now let's jump into Thesuit 5, which is something that we've been really talking about this cycle, and you should probably already memorize this Thesuit. It says, I am Ra, the intelligence of Maā. You know, we've already talked about that one, right? Everything is organized for you to increase your self-awareness, for you to increase and transfigure yourself based on your comprehension. Everything is wired for that. If intelligence existed first, and that intelligence is Maā, and everything else manifested to serve to further that one objective, then everything in your life is there organized intelligently to bring you into your specific state of self-awareness. It says, I am accord, thus abundance. I am accord, thus abundance. I want you to understand that there is more vitality in the world than sickness. There's more money in the world than poverty. There is more food in the world than starvation. You see, that's what we don't understand. So when we're questioning ourselves and looking at our life and looking at our situation and not seeking understanding, we fall victim to the lies. Most people actually have enough money in their household to do things with. They're just not good with money. But when you're looking at a situation where you can't pay a bill, you start to question, why is this happening to me? When the reality is there's more money in your life than you need. See, what you have to do is transfigure yourself into being better with money. What you have to do is transfigure yourself into being better with your spouse. What you have to do is transfigure yourself and being better with your boss. That's what we're talking about here. It says, I am accord, thus abundance. Abundance, there's the universe, the Maā doesn't come into manifestation without the things it needs to manifest its objective. That's impossible. It says your transfiguration is a result of your comprehension of me. Your transfiguration is the result of your comprehension of me. You cannot get access to the power to heal yourself without transfiguring yourself. You cannot get access to the power to heal your relationship until you transfigure yourself. You cannot get access to the power to expand within your career until you transfigure yourself. You want power to heal. You want power to make changes. You want power to influence others to change. Transfigure yourself. See, that challenge is simply there to transfigure you so that you can now have the power to invoke change in others if necessary. We had this concept in ancient Kemet. One was called Anpu, the jackal-headed god. You see, Neter, Anpu and Anpu Wat. See, the concept of baptism is something was not something that Christianity created. It's something that we gave them. The concept of baptism we call Anpu and Anpu Wat. Anpu was based on your knowledge, based on your experience. You make changes just based on your knowledge. You don't have to go through a life-challenging situation to do that. So, for instance, I have a cousin who's really like a sister to me. And, as a young child, 8 to 10, in this deep South, right? We grew up in Florida where there's meat everywhere. She decided and held herself accountable that she wasn't eating meat. And she would go against all the adults, and she chose to be a vegetarian well before I even knew what a vegetarian was. We call that Anpu. She's obviously pulling from some past life experience and making that adjustment herself. Anpu Wat, we said, was opener of the ways, what the Bible calls baptism by fire. See, we're so ignorant in certain areas of life that the only way we're going to transfigure ourselves is to endure some type of hardship, some type of crisis. But what you don't want to do in that situation is go through a crisis without accepting the change it's promoting, which is what a lot of people do. So you go through crisis over crisis over crisis because you don't understand that it's just simply asking you to transfigure yourself. So you spend all day questioning why this thing is happening to you, questioning why your mate is doing this to you, questioning why your boss is talking to you this way, questioning why you don't make enough money, all those different things. But the reality is you are enduring a hardship, a crisis, simply to invoke change. And we call that concept Anpu Wat. And that's thoroughly explained in the book. That'll be coming out shortly. It goes on to say, it says, your experience of accord, abundance, and prosperity is a validation of me. Your experience of accord, abundance, and prosperity is a validation of me. What is abundance? We say abundance is what? Having what you need when you need it. That's what we call abundance. What is it that you need? You need more money? The abundance of Maā says it has it for you. You need to be healed. There's an abundance and vitality out there that says it can heal you. You need a new partner? There's abundance of people out there that could serve as a good partner to you. You see, when it says that the experience of accord, abundance, and prosperity is a validation of me, you see, you can do miracles in your life. But it says is what? It says your transfiguration is a result of your comprehension of me. So through your comprehension and transfiguration, you can tap into the abundance of the universe. You can tap into the abundance of Maā. What is it that you need? We hear stories all the time about people healing themselves. We hear stories all the time about people receiving money. We hear stories all the time about fate and how people were just bumped into each other. We were at the right place at the right time and boom, there's your partner. See, all these things are abundantly out there around you. The issue is, are you transfiguring yourself to bring yourself into the ability to receive these things? That is the issue. So when it says here, the experience of accord, abundance, and prosperity is a validation of me. If you're going through this challenge right now, that means it's ordained for you to go through it, which means that what is necessary for you to receive to grow beyond that situation has also been provided. That's what it means by that statement. So listen, my beloved, life is not here to attack you. Life is not here to go against you. That's impossible for life to go against you because you brought Maā into manifestation to fulfill the objective of bringing you into the knowledge and experience of what you is, right? Even though you knew you were. That's all life is about. So it's not here to challenge you. It's simply here to do what? Bring about your transfiguration, bring about your change. If you can't look at yourself, this is one thing I want you to think about before we get into the meditation. If you can't look at yourself from a month ago, from last week, how about this? Look at from crisis to crisis, from your last crisis to your current crisis. What type of changes have you invoked? What type of awareness have you came to? You come to this awareness, you come to this understanding, and you implemented that understanding. That's what we call a transfiguration, right? You come to a comprehension, you implement that comprehension, and you endure the positive changes from that. From your crises to your crises, what changes have you made? Are you still constantly talking about your baby mama, your baby daddy? From your last crisis to this crisis, what changes have you made? What comprehension have you come to understand? Do you actually think that life is really against you? Do you think that life would actually create a person to really just simply be there to obstruct you? The quality of yourself is measured on how well you comprehend and transfigure in between crises.